Please adhere to YouTube's selected guidelines before viewing the content of this video. I do not encourage or condone any products, actions, or behaviors shown in this video. All videos are produced in a safe, professional, and controlled environment. Please do not attempt to replicate any actions performed during the video. All actions are performed by professionals.
Alrighty, so today I'm going to be smoking and reviewing the Players cigarettes from Canada, which from what I can tell at least are a full-flavored premium price cigarette that has a higher reputation than not. And so as such, I certainly am looking forward to giving these a go, and I certainly am looking forward to finding out just how good or just how bad they actually are, although I will acknowledge I am expecting better things than not from these cigarettes right here. There is one thing that really interests me just a lot about this pack though, besides the fact that I've heard really good things about these cigarettes, and that is the naming of this specific variety. This pack of cigarettes right here is called Players, with no variety name. It's just called Players. Not Players Plain, not Players Rich, not Players Original, not Players Smooth. Just Players. Yeah, that seems a little bit odd to me. Like, these are just called Players, but Players as a brand has more than one variety. I mean, like, it makes sense to just call a cigarette Players or just like the name of the brand if there's only one variety in the brand, but this brand has a bunch of varieties. So why would they just call a cigarette Players? I'm not sure. It's a bit confusing in all honesty, and trying to do research on this specific variety of Players is pretty much impossible because, well, there's no variety name. SEO doesn't really work very well to do any research on this pack right here. It certainly is a little bit more odd than not, but that's made me quite curious to give these a go and to let y'all know what I think of them and everything like that. To say the least, I am looking forward to trying the Players cigarettes from Canada today. But what is Players as a brand? Well, Players is a cigarette brand that is a part of the John Player cigarette brand family, which is a cigarette brand family of English origination, having been first introduced kind of in 1820. However, John Player and John Player family branded cigarettes were not known as what they are today, and the company as a whole was not known as what we know it as today until 1877, when a man named, guess what, John Player, bought the company, the tobacco company, and then renamed it after himself, and then started introducing tobacco of the same name as well. In the early 1900s, John Player as a company merged with a bunch of other companies in the UK to form the tobacco conglomerate that we know today as British American Tobacco. And throughout the 1900s, John Player and John Player family branded cigarettes in general became quite popular both in the UK and around the world in general. And from what I've heard at least, John Player branded cigarettes reached their peak of popularity in the United Kingdom in the mid-1900s. But today, John Player cigarettes are still very popular all around the world, especially within Sri Lanka and Pakistan, due to John Player Special Gold Leaf cigarettes being very, 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 very popular there, which is pretty interesting if I do say so myself. Today, within Canada, John Player and Players as brands of cigarettes are owned and produced by Imperial Tobacco Canada, which has no connection to the Imperial Tobacco Group and is instead a subsidiary of British American Tobacco. And Players as a brand in specific is the premium priced variety of John Players, with the actual John Player nameplate itself being a budget brand in Canada, which is pretty amusing if you ask me at least. But Players as a brand is a high-priced premium brand that has a much better reputation than not. And from what I can tell, Players as a brand is more popular than not within Canada these days. That's what Players is as a brand more so than not. But what are my expectations for this pack right here? The Players cigarettes from Canada. Yep, just Players. What are my expectations for this pack right here? Well, I'm thinking taste-wise, I'm probably going to get a brown sugar, creamy, woodsy, nutty tobacco flavor. That's very much what I'm expecting taste-wise from this pack of cigarettes right here. I'm very much expecting a rich flavor as well, and just a rich Canadian blend sort of tobacco taste in general, I'd have to say. Not a bad taste, a very good taste, to be specific. I'd have to say, body-wise, I am expecting the body to be quite large from these cigarettes, as these are indeed regular-sized cigarettes, not king-size cigarettes, and these are indeed also full-flavored cigarettes, so I'm expecting a pretty large and dense body from the cigarettes inside this pack. I'd have to say, airflow-wise, I am expecting the airflow to be perfectly fine, not constricted by any means, but maybe a little bit more constricted than something like, let's say, a king-size cigarette. I'm thinking draw-wise, the draw is probably going to be a medium draw. Not medium heavy, not medium light, just medium. I'm thinking roughness and smoothness-wise, the cigarettes inside this pack are probably going to be a 3 to 4, and strength-wise, I'm thinking these are probably going to be a 3 to 4 as well. Much more full-flavored than not, if I had to hazard a guess. And those are my expectations for the Players cigarettes from Canada. I do suppose now, without further ado, I should probably go ahead. I'm getting more just a little jumbled up. Let me take a sip of water real quick. I'm a little bit out of it today, I ain't gonna lie, y'all. Much better. But now that I've taken a sip of water, and now that I've kind of gotten my words not so jumbled up now, I do suppose, without further ado, I should probably go ahead and start covering the packaging for the Players cigarettes from Canada. After I cover the packaging, I'm going to go ahead and get the cellophane all off. I'm going to go ahead and let you guys know what the cigarettes look like, what they feel like, what the quality of them is like, and then after that, I'm going to go ahead and get one of the Players cigarettes from Canada all lit up, and I'm going to go ahead and let you guys know just how these cigarettes are, what they're like, and what I think of them, and then after that, I'm going to go ahead and give you guys my final thoughts on these cigarettes, and I'm going to go and give them a rating as well. But first off, as said, we got to start with the packaging, which, as is required in Canada today, is plain packaging. And to be specific, it is a slide pack variety of plain packaging. And we can see it's got an interesting shape when compared to many packs of cigarettes around the world. It's very rectangular, it's very long, definitely a little bit different than your classic flip-top box from the United States or something like that. And of course, as said, this is plain packaging, so there's no actual design going on with this pack or anything like that kind of thing. Just warning label at the top, just no design down here, just standardized governmental text and everything like that kind of thing. Yeah, it is plain packaging. Within Canada these days, slide packs are legally required, and so is plain packaging. It really is a shame to see, but it is what it is. Overall, do I like this packaging? I don't. It's plain packaging. But one thing I will give plain packaging credit for is that I actually don't mind the green color right here by any means. Politicians love to say that the green color is really ugly and stuff like that. It's not ugly in my personal opinion. I have a shirt that's like this exact same color, and I actually really like the color. It's not ugly, it's just very forgettable. I don't mind this color by any means, and I certainly don't consider it to be ugly. I actually like this color a decent amount, so I gotta give them credit for that, but that is still a standardized color for the cigarette pack, so it's not like I'm really giving Players any credit. I'm just giving the Canadian government credit for not making this color as bad as it could be. But, yep, it's just plain packaging, frankly put. Warning label up here, it's just talking about impotence and saying that cigarettes reduce blood flow to the penis. This makes it difficult to have or keep an erection. Well, I never had those anyway. So, I mean, like, this doesn't make a difference. You know, this is just not an issue for me because I'm like, I never had... This has always been a thing. That was not a very good joke. But, you know, we just got a warning label right there and everything like that kind of thing. Then they've just got, like, their quit line right there and everything like that. And then just the rest of the plain packaging right there with the actual branding itself, quote unquote. We can just see it just says Players right there in the standardized white text on the green background. Just says RS right there for regular size, which these are indeed regular size cigarettes. Then it just says 25 cigarettes right there, as this is indeed a pack of 25, which I guess is why it is a little bit longer than not instead of being more of a square. That does make sense now, doesn't it? You know, this pack definitely a little bit shorter and definitely a little bit longer than most packs of cigarettes that I'm used to seeing. Just simply due to the fact that this is a slide pack and due to the fact that, it's a 25 pack as well, I do suppose. But, yep, that's pretty much all there is going on the front of the packaging. It's plain packaging, really nothing at all going on. Moving on to the back of the packaging, we can see it's pretty much the exact same thing. But there's a tax stamp right here, and the warning label itself is in French. Just says, Impurance, la cigarette réduit la débit sanguine vers la pénis. I can't speak French, y'all. I can't speak French. I know for a fact I just butchered all that. That's okay, though. That's okay. You know, just a French warning label on the back because, of course, Canada is a multilingual nation, with French and English being spoken. So there's both English and French on the pack for warnings and whatnot. Just says RS right there once again, just says players right there once again, and just says 25 cigarettes right there again, but under the tax stamp, which just says 25 cigarettes on it, and is basically just saying duty paid Canada and everything like that kind of thing. Basically just saying, hey, yeah, the tax was paid on this pack of cigarettes and whatnot. And that's pretty much all that's going on the back of the pack. Moving on to this side of the pack, we can see the barcode right there, and the barcode has, ooh, the bars on the barcode are actually that green, which is something I don't mind by any means, but that's on a white background. Just says players right there, and then under that it just says imported for Imperial Tobacco Canada Ltd, Montreal, Canada, H3C3L6. So these cigarettes were not actually made in Canada, they were indeed imported for the Canadian market, which is interesting. Moving on to the other side, we can see another warning label, which just says toxicity information. There is cadmium in tobacco and smoke and batteries. It can cause lung cancer. We ball. I do not care. I do not care. We ball, you know what I'm saying? I'm enjoying my cigarettes and ain't nothing gonna stop me. But yep, just another warning on this side. Moving on to the top, we just get players text right there. Nothing too much going on. And moving on to the bottom, we just get the tax stamp, players text, and then some numbers right there, sort of like a code or a date code or something like that kind of thing. Just says 723424423CA, which I assume CA stands for Canada, but not exactly sure what the rest of that code means. I will acknowledge. But yep, that's pretty much all there is to the packaging. It is a plain packaging pack of slide pack cigarettes that has plain packaging, and it doesn't really look great. It doesn't look good. It's plain packaging. I don't like this packaging. It's plain packaging, and I'm not really a big fan of slide packs either. So yeah, I don't like this packaging. Nope. But it's plain packaging. I can't really hate on players for that, just simply because, well, it's a governmental requirement. So it's not the brand's fault. It's the government's fault. That's what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? Easy target. Easy target. It's always the government's fault. That's what I'm saying. Nah, just joking. Just joking. But in this scenario, it is the government's fault, not the cigarette brand's fault. But yep, that's pretty much all there is to the packaging. Let's go ahead and get this pack all opened up now, if I possibly can. Just gotta rip it from right there. Just do that. And then get that off, just like that. Get that off, just like that. And let's go ahead and now put the plastic that I've got in my hand all in my backpack. Can't be littering or nothing like that, of course. And now that I've done that, let's go and go over the texture of the pack. It's very much got a glossy, somewhat sticky sort of texture to the pack. Very much just a printed paperboard texture in my personal opinion. Overall quality is pretty average for a slide pack, not bad, not really amazing, just average quality, as 99.9% of cigarettes are when it comes to the packaging of the pack. And I'd have to say, overall look-wise, does this look better with the cellophane off? No, it does not. It does not look better. It looks the exact same. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get this pack of cigarettes all opened up. Just gotta snap this just like that. Whoop, whoop, just kind of folding up. Come on, snap, snap. Don't break my packaging. It was trying to break my packaging, it just bent that all up. What the hell? And we can see, just opening this up, there's another warning label right there, and there's another warning label right there. Just says quitting improves women's health. I'm pretty sure quitting probably improves your health in general, but I just don't care. Why are they saying specifically women's health? Like, I feel offended right now. Like, they should just say health, not just women's health. Like, just health in general. Like, why are they focusing on one group of people over everybody? Like, come on. This is called sexism, Canada. This is called sexism. The warning labels need to be for everybody, not for one group. For everybody. This is called sexism, Canada. Quitting improves women's health. Come on, Canada. You can do better than that. That's called sexism. You're focusing only on women with this. Not only are you targeting women, but you're also not targeting anybody else. That's called sexism. What the hell? What the hell, Canada? That's messed up. That's messed up. I'm about to cancel Canada on Twitter. Let me tell y'all. I'm just joking. But why are they focusing on only women? Like, actually, though, I don't understand. There's another warning label on the back of the pack. as is typical for Canadian packs of cigarettes these days. It's a quit smoking number, basically just says quitting cigarettes reduces the risk of cervical cancer. I don't even know what that kind of cancer is. Cigarettes weaken the immune system, make it harder to fight off an HPV infection. I don't know what any of that is. Like, they got to talk in words I can actually understand. Like, I don't speak those words. I'll be honest with you. I need English. This is not English. That don't make no sense to me. So, I don't understand it. I'm just going to completely ignore the warning label, frankly put. Taking a look at the actual inside of the actual slide pack, though, we can see green up top, silver foil. That is indeed standardized. This is standardized silver foil. We can see two little parts right here that are separated just because this is a 25 pack, so we got like 15 on one side and then 10 on the other side. The overall texture of the foil itself is very foily. It's just very foily, maybe slightly paper-like on the inside, but not much by any means. Let's go ahead and just rip that out. Ripped out, ooh, very cleanly and very easily. Cannot complain by any means. And interestingly enough, I am just right off the bat noticing that there is a line of perforation on these cigarettes. Maybe these are, I've tried the Players Original in the past, and those didn't have a line of perforation on the cigarettes, and these do. So maybe these are supposed to be like a slightly lighter version or something like that kind of thing. Not exactly sure, but without further ado, let's go ahead and get one of the cigarettes in this pack all out, just like that. And let's go ahead and take a look at what these cigarettes actually look like, what they feel like, and what the quality of them is like. Let's go ahead and cover the smell of these cigarettes first, though. And just right off the bat, it's all like cardboard packaging with wood. So there's definitely going to be like a woody sort of taste in there. But I'm actually going to have to give these cigarettes a minute. They've been in the packaging for a fat minute now, so I'm just going to give these cigarettes a minute, kind of let the tobacco do its job and actually get to smelling more like tobacco rather than the packaging itself it was just in. So while I'm waiting for that to happen, I'm going to go and cover the look of the cigarette. We can see it's a very basic standardized look. Not only is there plain packaging on the packaging, but there's plain packaging on the cigarettes themselves within Canada. So this is indeed a standardized look, and honestly, we should just be thankful there are not warning labels on the cigarettes themselves. Hasn't happened for regular size cigarettes in Canada yet. Only king size cigarettes have warning labels on these cigarettes themselves, but regular size cigarettes are coming up soon, I do figure, at least. We can just see standardized look of a white filter and then white paper. The white paper itself is just white paper. There's no vertical lines or horizontal lines going across, just like that. And on the white filter itself, there is indeed one line of perforation just right there, and the filter itself is, I'd have to say it probably starts right about there, so it's a little bit of a smaller filter than not. And there's one line of perforation. The dots on the filter are a little bit bigger than not, but there are not too many of them, but there's also not a little amount of them either. So this is definitely going to be a little bit more airy than I was kind of expecting. I really was not expecting any perforation on the filter of these cigarettes, I'll acknowledge. The overall blend is very much that of a medium, sort of reddish brown blend, in my personal opinion. Overall, looks pretty scrumptious in my personal opinion. There's definitely some light aspects, there's definitely some dark aspects, but nothing is like super light or super dark, but I'd have to say there maybe are slightly more light aspects than dark aspects, but the majority of the tobacco in there is just medium. So yeah, no, this is very much just like a medium, sort of reddish brown tobacco blend, which is more standard than not for a Canadian blend cigarette. Nothing super different by any means, I'll acknowledge. Overall, the blend looks pretty scrumptious, if I do say so myself. The quality of the cigarette is pretty good. The look of the cigarette is a standardized basic look. Can't do anything about that, sadly, but it doesn't look bad by any means. And the white filter with the white paper, having no lines on it or anything like that kind of thing, definitely does look a little bit more elegant than not, in my personal opinion. Not a bad look by any means. And just smelling this cigarette, getting some cream, getting some, I want to say, brown sugar, getting some nuts. And I was getting a little bit of wood at the very beginning, and I feel like I'm still getting a little bit of that in the undertone now. So overall, I'd have to say the smell of this cigarette is very much that of a, I'd have to say probably a creamy, brown sugar, nutty, woodsy scent as a whole. Sort of like cedarwood scent. Overall, smells pretty decent in my personal opinion. Well, I think that's pretty much all I had to cover about the look of this cigarette itself. Overall, standardized look due to Canada's legislation, but not a bad look. No sort of lines going across. Blend looks pretty scrumptious. Should be a good smoke. Should be a good smoke, I am thinking, at least. Well, before I go ahead and get this cigarette all lit up, though, I am going to take a sip of water real quick. Got to make sure I stay hydrated. And now that I have taken a sip of water, I do think it is now time for me to go ahead and smoke my first ever Players cigarette from Canada. Not my first ever Players branded cigarettes, because I've tried a Players branded cigarette before, but the actual variety that's just called Players is going to be my first time ever trying one of these. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get this cigarette right here, all lit up, and let's go ahead and find out just what a Players cigarette from Canada is actually like for the first time. Yes, sir, you know what I'm saying? If I can actually get my Zippo lighter open up, that is. Yes, sir, you know what I'm saying? Right off the bat, nice taste, nice flavor. Definitely a little bit of airiness, but it's not bad. It's not too airy by any means. The airflow is maybe a little bit more constricted than your typical king-size cigarette, just due to the fact that this is a regular-size cigarette, and regular-size cigarettes tend to be a little bit more tightly packed than king-size cigarettes. But in all honesty, it's not constricted by any means, maybe just a little bit more constricted than your typical king-size cigarette, but the airflow is still perfectly fine. The draw is very much that of a medium to maybe medium heavy draw. It's more of a medium draw than anything, though, I'll acknowledge. But you can definitely tell there's a little bit of airiness in there. So it's very much like a medium airy draw, with the airiness making it just a little bit heavier, I'd have to say, because you just have to pull a little bit more to get the smoke you want. But overall, very much just a medium airy draw, I'd have to say. Let's test the body. Body, for being a cigarette with a line of perforation on it, is very dense and is very large. That was a very nicely sized body. I like that quite a bit. Big body from these cigarettes right here, as I was expecting. And roughness and smoothness wise, these are very much like I'd have to say a low 3 out of 4. I'd have to say the perforation definitely makes these cigarettes a little bit smoother. And strength wise, I can't say anything for sure right now just because I haven't finished off the cigarette yet, but it really is coming across like a 3 out of 4 because I am starting to feel a little bit buzzed, I'll acknowledge. Excuse me. But what about taste? What about flavor? Well, it's definitely a little bit different than the other Players cigarette I've tried in the past. It's definitely a little bit different. There's a little bit of airiness in there, of course. The Players original cigarette tried in the past did not have any perforation on the filter, if I'm remembering correctly. And so the flavor is different, just a little bit different due to the airiness, but it's also just a little bit different as a whole. The flavor I'm getting more so than not is very much that of a, I'd have to say, nutty, creamy, almost sort of like nut butter, sort of like almond butter or something like that. So it's sort of an almost buttery, yeah, sort of a nutty, creamy, buttery, sort of like almond butter flavor with an undertone of brown sugar. Not too much though. I wouldn't call these genuinely sweet cigarettes, but they do have some sweetness to them. They're more savory than not. And then under that, there's a little bit of spice and a little bit of cedar wood. And that's very much the flavor I'm getting right now from these cigarettes. Not really getting anything else. It's very much the flavor I'm getting as a whole as of this moment in time. There's a little bit of something else going on with that flavor when I just puffed it like a cigar, didn't inhale it. I'm gonna retrohale now. There's a little bit of coca. There's a little bit of coca going on in there as well. It's very understated, but there is a little bit of coca, I want to say. just a little bit. Yeah, this is definitely a little bit different than the Player's original cigarette. It's not the same. This is it definitely tastes different. And I was expecting a very similar flavor, a little bit different, but this is actually more significantly different than I would have otherwise thought. Yeah, the flavor I'm experiencing right now is very much that. I feel like, at least, it's sort of like Coca toffee a little bit, kind of almost like I'm gonna have to think of this. I'm gonna have to think on the flavor. I'm gonna have to have another one. Like I wasn't planning on having another one anyway. You know, I could always go for another cigarette. Unless I just smoked an American Spirit Black, and then maybe not. Go and just stub the cigarette on the ground. Make sure it's all out. Can be causing no field fires, as I am sitting in a field right now. I'm gonna go and put this cigarette in the side of my backpack in just a moment, after I almost forgot to cover the filter. So the filter itself, it definitely gets very mushy once you're done smoking, and as you continue smoking, definitely gets a little bit more mushy. And we can see the main amount of tar is centered in the very center right there, with a little bit of a lighter edge going around. So we can definitely tell that the perforation was doing its job, but it wasn't doing its job like to an insane degree. And I can definitely say that's true from a smoking perspective. These cigarettes were not super airy, not quite as airy as I was really expecting them to be. You know, it is thoroughly soaked in tar, but the main amount of tar is in the very center right there. I would have to say the filter itself starts right about there, right above where the perforation itself is, right there where my finger is tapping, and the filter starts right about there where this finger is tapping. But you know, overall, very small filter that gets quite mushy. Go and put that in the side of my backpack. Can't be littering. And I think I'm gonna go and get another one of these all lit up, and I think I'm gonna go and grab myself a screenshot and see if there's anything different about the second cigarette than there was about the first, and really try to figure out what the flavor is really like from the Player's cigarettes from Canada. So I got my lighter out of my pocket once again, get it all opened up, and now let's go ahead and get this cigarette all lit up, and let's go and get back to smoking, y'all. Yes sir, you know what I'm saying. Hopefully that will do. For a screenshot for the thumbnail of this video, we will find out. Even though these cigarettes are regular size, they don't smoke super fast by any means, which is something I really do appreciate. That's something you get from some regular size cigarettes. That is, they smoke really fast. Not from these though. These smoke probably about at the same level as a fast smoking king size cigarette. Definitely a lot faster than something like, let's say, an American Spirit, but probably at about the same level as something like, let's say, a Camel Blue or a Camel Red or a Marlboro Red or something like that kind of thing. Once again, we can definitely tell, due to the size of these cigarettes, the airflow is just a little bit more constricted than it would be when compared to, like, let's say, a king-size cigarette, but it's not a constricted airflow by any means. The airflow itself is more perfectly fine than not. I'd have to say the draw is, once again, very much that of a medium draw, with just a little bit of airiness in there that just makes the draw a little bit heavier. The body, once again, is massive, massive body, which is something I appreciate. I think these would be good for smoke tricks. And let's try that real quick. I'm not very good at O's, but gave it a go, you know what I'm saying? Gave it a go. I tried to do a ghost, but that was horrible. Yeah, massive body. Roughness smooth-wise, very much like a low 3 to 4. Pleasant roughness, but not too much by any means, not overwhelming. Like probably like a 3.3 out of 4, I'd have to say. And strength-wise, these are most certainly a like 3.4, 3.5 out of 4. They're definitely more full flavor than not. Just as full flavored as something like, let's say, a Marlboro Red. Although I'd have to say they're a little bit heavier than a Marlboro Red, probably more in the territory of being something like, let's say, a Camel Red. Yeah, 3.4, 3.5 strength-wise is pretty good for them. Maybe a little bit heavier than some full-flavored cigarettes, but not quite as heavy as the heaviest. But definitely heavier cigarettes than not, especially for the size. But what's the actual flavor of these cigarettes like? Is there really any of that sort of coca in there that I was thinking there might be? You know, I'm not really getting any now. I think that coca flavor, I think it might have been toffee. I don't feel like there's really a coca flavor. I think it might be more like toffee, like hazelnut toffee. And I think that kind of, like a lot of times, like hazelnut toffee sort of flavor from cigarettes goes hand in hand with like a coca flavor as well. And I think that might have been where I got a little bit mixed up. But I do feel like there's, yeah, I feel like that sort of, okay, yeah. All right, so this is very much a savory cigarette with a little bit of sweetness, a little bit of spice in the very back as well, but more sweet and savory than anything. And the flavor itself is very much that of a, I'd have to say, mildly sweet, creamy, buttery, hazelnut, nutty flavor with an undertone of toffee, with a little bit of brown sugar under that, and then a little bit of a tiny bit of a cedarwood flavor under that, with a little bit of spice going on when you smoke a bit fast. And that's very much what the flavor of the Players cigarettes from Canada is actually like. Definitely a little bit different of a flavor from the Players original cigarettes. The Players just the Players cigarettes, which is still getting me messed up. These are just called the Players. Definitely have a little bit different flavor. But just like the Players original, they're very good, very high quality cigarettes. I'm not getting any sort of a paper taste, not getting any sort of a chemical taste or additive taste or anything like that kind of thing. They're very nice, high quality cigarettes that I would have to say are worth the price. Now, cigarettes in Canada are really expensive, so are really any of them worth the price? One could argue no. But either way, these are still good cigarettes, and I don't mind having bought them by any means. Not bad cigarettes, frankly put. In fact, I'd have to say they're pretty dang good cigarettes. I like these. I like these cigarettes. And I was kind of expecting the perforation to maybe make these make me like these a little bit less, but no. I don't mind these at all, even with the perforation. I'd have to say these are of equivalent strength to the Players original. Maybe a little bit lighter to the airiness, but not much. But they're definitely a little bit different. Definitely a little bit different. Overall, you know, solid smokes that I do like, I will acknowledge. Well, that's all I had to my second cigarette of the video. And I think that's pretty much all I had to say about the pack of cigarettes that I reviewed today, besides my final thoughts and my rating for it. Just went ahead and put the cigarette butt in the side of my backpack. Gonna be throwing it away after this video. But overall, now that I've got done with smoking, what are my final thoughts on the Players cigarettes from Canada? Do I like them? Do I not? Would I buy a pack of these cigarettes again with my own money? Yeah, I like these. I like these cigarettes. I'm going to be finishing off this pack quite quickly if I do say so myself. And I really enjoy these. These are some solid smokes. And I can definitely see myself buying another pack of these again. Like, if I was in Canada again, I would 100% buy a pack of these again. Would I much rather buy this pack or a pack of, like, let's say, Players Original? I'd probably much rather buy a pack of Players Original just because they're a little bit heavier, they're a little bit stronger, and I think I might prefer them a little bit more, just a little bit more. Not much, just a little bit more. But these are still really good smokes that I do really enjoy. They're very high quality. They're very nice. Really nice taste. Really good flavor. I like these cigarettes. I would definitely buy a pack of this again with my own money, as said. And as said as well, I'm going to be finishing off this pack a little bit quicker than not. Do I like the Players cigarettes from Canada? I'd have to say that I do. I would have to say that I do indeed like this pack right here. Yeah. I don't mind this pack by any means. I don't mind this pack by any means, and I can definitely see myself smoking more of these in the future whenever the opportunity occurs for me to do so, and I'm looking forward to smoking the rest of this pack. When compared to other Canadian cigarettes, do I consider these to be good? Yes, I do. I consider these to be really good compared to other Canadian cigarettes. There's a decent amount of good and bad cigarettes in Canada, just like any country, and I'd have to say these are one of the better ones. These are probably, I'd have to say, in my top 5 Canadian cigarettes I've tried so far. Yeah, solid smokes. I like these a decent amount. And if I had to define these, if I had to define these as what they are, I'd have to say that these are a full flavored cigarette, but that they're a little bit lighter, just the tiniest bit lighter, and with a tiniest bit of a different flavor than the Players Original. The Players Original, I would have to say, are probably the most full flavored, with these being slightly lighter than those. But yeah, these are still great cigarettes. These are even though these are slightly lighter than the Players Original, these are by no means a light cigarette. They are still very much a full flavored cigarette. Yeah, I do like the Players cigarettes from Canada. They're pretty solid. I like them a decent amount. Certainly no complaints on my behalf, that is for sure. What is the rating I want to give this pack right here? I'm thinking a very solid 3.5 out of 4. 3.5 out of 4 for this pack right here. For context, my rating scale goes from a 1 to 4, with 1 being like, this is terrible, never smoked this, 2 being like, it's not to my personal preference, but some people might like it. A 3 is like, hey, this is pretty dang good, but it's not like the best thing ever. And a 4 to 4 is like, oh my God, this is a masterpiece, this is the best thing ever. I wouldn't consider these cigarettes to be like the best thing ever by any means, but I do think a 3.5 out of 4 is very deserving for the Players Original. These are not the Players Original cigarettes. These are just the Players cigarettes. But I do think a 3.5 out of 4 is very deserving for the Players cigarettes from Canada, and they're definitely a pack I would buy again, and they're definitely a pack I like a decent amount. So that's why they're getting a 3.5 out of 4. Yeah, overall, solid smokes in my personal opinion. Solid smokes in my personal opinion. What are some comparable cigarettes to these? I'd have to say the... Ooh. I'd have to say, and I feel like the aftertaste is kind of... there might be one flavor I missed. Like, there's definitely the hazelnut, but the aftertaste is kind of gingerbready. So maybe there's a little bit of gingerbread in there as well, just with the aftertaste. I didn't really notice that when I was actually smoking, but there might actually be a little bit of gingerbread flavor in there. Keep that in mind, y'all. Keep that in mind. There might be a little bit of gingerbread flavor, because I'm just thinking about cigarettes that are comparable. And cigarettes that are comparable on, like, the Canadian market, I'd have to say, like, the Players Original, of course, definitely comparable. It's part of the same brand after all. I'd have to say, other than that, probably the Camel Original cigarettes are somewhat comparable. And I have to say there's the 2 main comparable cigarettes to this pack right here. But in the United States, the most comparable cigarette, in my personal opinion, would be the Wave Reds and the Wings Reds. Interesting. I do actually feel like I missed that on flavor, but I do feel like there's a little bit of a sort of like ginger snap or gingerbread like flavor in there. Very interesting. I missed that, but I do feel like that flavor might be in there. Well, this has been a very interesting experience, and there's been a lot more flavor to this cigarette than I was really expecting, frankly put, and different flavors than I was expecting as well. Certainly no complaints on my behalf about this pack right here. As said, 3.5 out of 4 for this pack right here. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys think of the Players cigarettes from Canada. If you guys have tried them in the past, do you guys like them? Do you guys not? Do you guys think what I said was accurate? Let me know in the comments down below. And also make sure to like and subscribe for more content. I think I said everything I wanted to say for this review today, so I'm going to go and end the video right here. Certainly hope you guys have enjoyed watching this video today. I said make sure to like and subscribe for more content. I also have my Instagram, my book, my merch, my P.O. Box, and my second channel all in the description down below. Go check it all out. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, y'all. Till the next one, stay safe and peace, and have a great one. Yes, sir, you know what I'm saying?